If you were a pilot shot down during World War I, your chances of survival were practically nil. First of all, the Army didn't issue parachutes, considering them to be bad for morale. Secondly, there was no rescue service. By World War II, things had improved a little. The Army Air Corps initiated fledgling rescue squadrons, but for the most part, downed crews were still on their own, facing the possibilities of capture, torture, and death. The major breakthrough came during the Korean War when the Air Rescue Service began using helicopters to evacuate the wounded, helping save nearly 10,000 lives. In Vietnam, with heavy casualties, we unfortunately had ample opportunity to improve our rescue techniques. The job of pararescue man became more dangerous than ever, and the training more difficult. Only 5% of those applying could even pass the preliminary physical to go on to a full year of the Air Force's most challenging exercises. During the Vietnam War, hundreds of Americans became prisoners of the North Vietnamese. Almost all of them were pilots. So when a plane was shot down over the jungles of Southeast Asia, a flyer could only pray that the pararescue team would find him before the enemy did. One of the very best men ever to answer a downed pilot's prayers was Airman Duane Hackney of Flint, Michigan, one of the most decorated enlisted men to serve in Southeast Asia. He was only 17 years old when he joined the Air Force, and as top graduate in his rescue training class, he got to pick his assignment. Hackney chose Vietnam.
But when a rescue mission starts, it was just a mass effort because that was our brother. It was one of us, and we knew that guy down there on the ground had relatives back home. He had a family life, and he was a normal Joe.
A combination of medic, gunner, and paratrooper, the pararescue men flew aboard huge airborne ambulances dubbed Jolly Green Giants. Planes called Sandys went ahead of the lumbering helicopters to suppress enemy ground fire so the Jollies could get close enough to attempt a rescue.
You know, the hard part about a rescue mission is when Sandy would put you in a holding area, out of the ground fire, and just hold you there until they knew it was safe to go in. And that's when you got a pucker factor of 8. That's when that fear starts setting in. You know, you want to go in and get them now and get it over with. Do it or don't do it. Get shot down or get out successfully, but you want it to happen now.
We're going down as fast as we can go. This thing won't go any faster. Straight ahead on the top of the ridge line. Go ahead. I got him. Below the tree. Okay, we got the smoke. Right, babe. Go get him.
Okay, just stand by, babe. We're coming in to get you. Stand by.
That was a very vulnerable point of the rescue attempt. And when you came up in that hover, and it would go quiet. And of course, then your spine started moving, and then you just know they're going to shoot at you. You know, if they can shoot down a jet fighter, they sure as hell can shoot down a helicopter.
In what was often a fatal moment, the parajumper, or PJ, was lowered into the jungle on a hoist called a penetrator. For Airman Duane Hackney and his survivor, this thin cable was a lifeline.
PJ's on his way down, sir. Face the door. You're clear right. Quarters of the way down. 5 feet off the ground. PJ's on the ground.
It's a scary thing to be down there. As many times as I went on the ground, it was always, your heart rate always went up. There was an adrenaline pump, believe me.
The gunners had to suppress the enemy ground fire while they tried desperately to get the PJ and his survivor back on board.
I've always asked, well, was you scared in Vietnam? Was the bear do it in the woods, you know? I bet I was. Everybody was. There's always fear there. And the person that said they weren't afraid in Vietnam are liars or complete idiots.
Hold your hover, babe. Hold your hover. Looking good. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Driver's coming up. Hold your hover. You're close to the tree. Hold your hover. It's right about 10 foot below the aircraft. 10 foot below the aircraft. Hold your hover, babe. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Hold your hover. Survivor's at the door. Survivor's coming in the door. Survivor, send it secure. Let's get the hell out of here. Okay, talk to me. We're coming out.
When you get the guy on board, it was just hell-bent for leather. Let's get our butts out of here now. You gave this guy a present. You gave him his life. You know, you brought him back, and hopefully go home and see his family and his loved ones. You just can't explain the good feeling you had. You'll never receive a gift like that until you can save someone's life. I lost a lot of friends over there. There's no romance or anything involved in war. War is the killing of human beings. Us lucky guys came back with the memories. The unlucky ones stayed there. But you're proud of those men because they gave the ultimate sacrifice. It's pretty hallowed ground. May they rest in peace, you know? I had the best job in Vietnam, saving lives. It's hard to believe that in a war, but I did.